Knowledge is never free. It does not arrive without weight. It does not expand awareness without altering the conditions of existence. Once it enters the system, something irreversible occurs. The world does not change, but the way it is experienced does. Across traditions, this shift is never portrayed as neutral. It is marked by a turning point, a moment where the cost of awareness becomes unavoidable. In Greek mythology, Pandora opens the jar that releases suffering into the world. What escapes is not a single force, but a cascade: pain, struggle, uncertainty, and limitation. These were not present in the same way before. Or more precisely, they were not perceived in the same way. The act of opening the jar does not create suffering. It reveals it, unleashes it into human awareness, and ensures it can no longer be ignored. In the biblical narrative, Adam and Eve gain knowledge and are cast out of Eden. This is often framed as punishment, but symbolically it represents something deeper. Eden is not simply a place, it is a state of unawareness, a condition where existence is experienced without distinction, without judgment, without the burden of interpretation. Once knowledge is introduced, that state becomes inaccessible. Humanity becomes aware of itself, of its vulnerability, of its separation. The result is not merely exile, it is self-awareness paired with limitation. Across mythologies, the pattern holds. Once knowledge is gained, innocence is lost. Once awareness expands, simplicity collapses. Once perception deepens, reality becomes more complex. This stage introduces suffering not as an external force imposed from above, but as an internal condition that emerges from awareness itself. To see clearly is to recognize limitation. To understand is to perceive what is lacking. To become aware is to experience contrast. This is where duality enters. Before knowledge, existence is undivided. After knowledge, everything becomes defined in opposition. Good and evil, right and wrong, gain and loss, self and other. These are not just moral categories. They are structural divisions that arise when awareness begins to differentiate. Light reveals, but it also separates. Once something can be distinguished, it can be judged. Once it can be judged, it can be valued. Once it is valued, it can be desired or rejected. This is the beginning of internal conflict. Because awareness does not simply illuminate the external world, it turns inward. Humans begin to observe themselves, their actions, their thoughts, their limitations. They recognize not just what is, but what could be and what is not. This gap between reality and possibility is where suffering takes root. It is not just physical hardship, it is psychological, existential. The awareness of time brings the awareness of death. The awareness of structure brings the awareness of constraint. The awareness of self brings the awareness of vulnerability. This is the true cost of knowledge, not punishment, but responsibility. To know something is to carry it. To understand something is to live with it. To see clearly is to lose the ability to ignore. This responsibility transforms the role of humanity within the system. Before knowledge, humans exist within structure. After knowledge, they must navigate it. They must make decisions. They must evaluate outcomes. They must take ownership of their actions. The system becomes more complex, not because it has changed, but because the human relationship to it has deepened. What was once experienced as simple existence becomes layered. Perception influences belief. Belief influences action. Action produces consequence, and consequence feeds back into perception. This creates a loop, one that reinforces itself over time. Suffering in this sense is not separate from awareness. It is intertwined with it. Because to be aware is to recognize both potential and limitation, to see both what is possible and what is constrained. This is why the myths consistently present this stage as unavoidable. Once knowledge enters the system, consequence follows, not as retribution, but as structure. It is the natural outcome of awareness applied within a limited framework. And as consequence accumulates, systems begin to strain. Imbalance grows. Tension builds. Structures that once held stability begin to weaken. This leads to the next stage. Not gradual change, but collapse. A reset that clears what has become unsustainable. A return in some form to the edge of chaos so the cycle can begin again.